Welcome to Brightly Storytime. I'm Miss Linda. I'm so excited to have you joining me to learn all about planes. Have you ever been to an airport before? Today, we're going to learn all about planes and how they work. First, let's visit the busy town airport and learn all about how planes and pilots get from place to place in Richard Scarry's Busy, Busy Airport. Welcome to the busy, busy airport. Check in at the counter and let's take a look around. Look at all the people. You can see the pilot, the co-pilot, the flight attendant, and there's the air traffic controller. The airport is full of all kinds of busy cars, trucks, and planes. Here, you can see so many of the different vehicles helping the plane get ready for takeoff. There's the baggage truck, the fuel truck, the delivery truck. What other kinds of trucks do you see? Some planes carry passengers. Others carry mail and packages. See the different parts of the plane? The cockpit, the cabin, the galley, and the washroom. Each plane has to wait its turn to take off or land. The planes move down the taxiway and then to the runway. The landing lights help the planes find their way. The engines roar and the plane speeds down the runway until it soars into the sky. Are you hungry? You can have a meal in midair. Remember to keep your seatbelt fastened. High above the clouds, it's always sunny. Look at the pilot and the co-pilot flying the plane. And there's the flight engineer too, helping them. What goes up must come down. It's time to land. So many kinds of planes in the sky. There's a propeller plane, a biplane, and even a parachuter. What a great adventure! Isn't flying fun? Maybe one day you'll work at the airport or even pilot a plane. Now everyone is helping the plane after it's landed. See a worker washing a jet plane on the cherry picker and the jet fuel truck next to the jet engine, loading fuel into the wing. It sure is busy at the airport. Now that we've learned some of the different activities and jobs at the airport, do you want to see a real plane hangar and learn about how planes fly? We have a pilot friend in Maryland who's going to give us a tour. Let's see what he has to show us. Be sure to keep an eye out for some of the jobs we just read about.
Hi everybody, I'm Mike and I'm a pilot. We are today at the Montgomery County Airpark, which is in Gaithersburg, Maryland. An airpark is a place where they park airplanes, as you might imagine, or you might hear it called an airport.
How do you become a pilot?
So becoming a pilot takes a lot of hard work and dedication, and it can be done as quickly as a couple of months or sometimes over several years. Just depends on the situation and the person.
How do a plane fly?
As you probably know, airplanes have wings, and much like a bird, they fly through the air with the wings. Now, of course, an airplane doesn't flap its wings like a bird. That's why an airplane has an engine. So the engine provides the energy to either pull or push the airplane through the air, whereas a bird flaps his wings to provide the energy. The engine of an airplane either pushes or pulls the airplane through the air So if you've ever ridden in the car with your parents and with the window down and put your hand out the window, you'll notice that the air tries to push your hand up. And the force on your hand when the wind like that is much like the force on an airplane. And much like your hand out the window, the air will start gaining speed and eventually it will lift off of the runway.
What do pilots do when the plane is in the sky?
Pilot is monitoring the engine, flying the controls to go up and down or back and forth and turning, listening to instructions from air traffic control so that he can navigate you to your destination.
Is it hard to take off or land?
Landing is a little bit harder than takeoff because there's a lot of things to keep in mind in terms of keeping the airplane aligned with the runway and managing the descent and all sorts of variables like that. There's a lot of training that pilots go through to perfect landing. Weather plays an important factor with flying, as you can imagine. We're going through the air and it can be raining or the visibility can be bad. There can be thunderstorms and things like that. So pilots have to take all this into account to fly in good weather or perfect training to fly in less than perfect weather. So one of the things a pilot has to take into account when landing is which direction the wind is coming from. We always want to land the plane with the wind kind of blowing onto the nose. That helps to slow us down and keeps us aligned with the runway. When it gets challenging is if the wind is blowing sideways because it will blow you away from the runway, or if it's blowing from behind you because it will make you go too fast. If you look around an airport, you'll notice a funny looking, we call it a windsock. It's on a pole and it always shows us which direction and how strong the wind is blowing.
How do you play with an airplane?
So this is the plane that I'm building. It's called a Vance RV-10. This part down here is just a temporary wood stand that we use while it's building. Eventually we'll take that away and the airplane will be on its own wheels. This is the tail section, which is almost complete. This is called the elevator, which moves up and down. It's connected to the pilot's controls in the cockpit. This makes the airplane go up and down as well. So most airplanes are made out of something called aluminum, which is a very lightweight metal. And the reason it has to be lightweight is so that an airplane can fly. If it were too heavy, it would not be able to get off the ground. The tools we use to build airplanes many of them are much like you might find in your garage. Hammers, screwdrivers, things like that. But we do use some specialized tools. For example, this is called a rivet gun. And this we use to install rivets into the airplane. So rivets are used in airplanes and because they're much stronger than something like glue or tape or something like that. And we can also use it to make the surface smooth so that nothing sticks out and keeps the air moving smooth so that the airplane can go faster. You can paint an airplane pretty much any color you want. There are certain specifications in terms of registration numbers that have to be put on to the airplane and whatnot, but the color scheme is completely up to us to decide. So these are the wings that are being built. As you can see, they're also in a temporary wooden stand over here, and these will eventually get attached to the airplane. This one is open so you can see inside the control rod and the wires and whatnot that are inside. And this is actually the gas tank where the gas goes for the airplane. Each wing has a gas tank. Pretty much right before flying is when the wings will get attached, and we'll get a few people to help us and stick it on there, and there are several large bolts that go on, and that's what holds the wings on. This is a smaller version of the plane that I'm working on. It happens to be finished that my friend Mark finished. He started long before I did. And as you can see, it's beautifully painted and very well constructed. So it takes quite a long time to build an airplane, and it all depends on the person building it and how experienced they are. In my case, for example, it's taken me 5 years to get this airplane to this stage. Somebody who's more professional building airplanes, they would be able to do it much faster. So some airplanes are built from kits. So much like you might get a kit at a toy store with blocks to build certain things, it's very similar with this type of airplane. It comes with instructions and the pieces, and we have to assemble it with the tools. So once the airplane is built, it has to be inspected by an inspector who's familiar with everything, who will come and check that, make sure everything is built correctly and safely before it's allowed to fly.
How do you know where you are in the sky?
We have two main, basically computer screens here. We have, this one's called a PFD, which stands for Primary Flight Display. And this one is called an MFD, which stands for Multifunction Display. These are engine gauges over here that tell me how the engine's running. Basically, the engine's not running right now, but when we're flying, we want to have all of these gauges basically in the green. We don't want anything red like it's flashing right now. It is now because the engine's not running, but after we're flying, we don't want to see that. This is what we call an attitude indicator, and you can see it's got the brown at the bottom here represents the ground, and the blue represents the sky. And this basically allows me to see which way is up, basically. So if I get inside a cloud where I can't see or something like that, I can always look at this instrument and get myself oriented and know which way I'm going. It'll also turn left and right as we turn, so I can know which way I'm turning again if I get disoriented inside of a cloud or at night or something like that where it's not as easy to see. And this is basically a map of the area that we're going to be flying in. I can zoom this in and out. This is the airport we're at right here. This is the runway. This little airplane right here is where we are. And this, I can zoom in as close as I want or as far out as I want. And I can see for hundreds of miles or down to a few feet, depending on what I want to see. And you can see a bunch of little triangles just showed up here. And those are other airplanes that are flying around us.
Do pilots speak a special language?
We pilots do sometimes speak a different language, and particularly when we're talking on the radio. Just to keep things short, there's a lot of what we call acronyms or shortcuts that we take to talk to each other. So one example of the pilot language is when we have to spell out words, we don't actually say the letters. We use words to represent the letters. So if I were to spell out Miss Linda, for example, I would spell it Mike, Sierra, Lima, India, November, Delta, Alpha.
Wow, that was so cool. Do you think you want to be a pilot when you grow up? It takes a lot of hard work, but it's easier than growing your own wings. I hope you had a blast today learning all about planes with me. I can't wait to see what we get to learn about together next. Come back to read more stories together anytime you like, or find more books to read yourself at readbrightly.com. Bye!